Ferrari is secretly rebuilding the heart of their 2026 engine right now in Maranello with Belgium on the clock. And what are they doing inside that turbocharger? Nobody outside Italy is talking about it. After Kimi Antonelli is sitting on top of the championship, while Russell is locked right behind him in second place. Ferrari actually has one of the strongest chassis setups on the grid right now, maybe even the best through slow and medium speed corners, but none of that matters once the cars hit a straight. The second the throttle opens fully, Mercedes pulls away again like it's nothing. After Miami, Vasseur didn't even try to hide the issue. He pointed straight at the speed trap numbers and basically said, "That is all you need to look at." Ferrari rolled out 11 upgrades, including what many inside the paddock called their most aggressive aero package ever brought to a race weekend. And still Mercedes blasted past them down every straight. At this point, everybody knows where the real weakness is coming from. The engine package. What barely anyone outside the Italian media has talked about is what Ferrari is secretly rebuilding behind the scenes right now in Maranello. Forget the ADUO token rumors or the software chatter. The real story is buried deep inside the turbocharger. Ferrari is keeping the exact same outer casing and packaging layout inside the SF26, but internally the whole thing is getting flipped around. New compressor vane counts, fresh impeller angles, and a redesigned airflow system that changes how the turbo behaves across the entire rev range without altering the outside dimensions at all. This is risky engineering pushed right to the edge. And if Ferrari gets this right, Belgium could completely shake up the season. Once Formula One removed the MGU-H for the 2026 regulations, every manufacturer got hit with the same massive problem. How do you kill turbo lag without that electric motor controlling turbo speed? Ferrari went with the boldest setup on the grid. They built a tiny, super light turbocharger designed to spool up insanely fast, with a smaller compressor wheel, lower rotational weight, and instant response coming out of slow corners and off the line. That turbo setup gave Ferrari the fastest launches on the entire grid. Every weekend, Leclerc and Hamilton seem to grab spots before turn one because their turbo wakes up quicker than everybody else's. But there's a brutal downside hiding behind that advantage. The launch boost only helps for a couple seconds, then Mercedes just disappears down the straight before the first braking zone even arrives. Ferrari wins the first moment of the race, but Mercedes controls everything after that. The problem comes from the smaller compressor wheel Ferrari chose to run. Sure, it reaches full boost insanely fast during launches and slow corner exits, but once the engine hits massive RPM at full throttle, it simply cannot move enough air. Less airflow means less boost pressure, and less boost means less power when drivers are pinned flat out down the straights. That top-end power zone is where races are being decided right now, and every extra horsepower matters. Mercedes went in the complete opposite direction with their design. Their turbo is bigger, heavier, and takes slightly longer to wake up from low RPM. That tiny delay costs them a little bit during race starts. But once the system is fully spinning, the advantage becomes huge. The Mercedes turbo forces far more air through the engine, creating stronger boost pressure, more cylinder force, and way more straight-line speed. 5 races into the season, that gamble is paying off in a massive way for Mercedes. Ferrari understood the risk before the season even started, but they made the choice anyway. Now Enrico Gualtieri and Ferrari's engine crew are scrambling to claw back the power they gave away without changing the turbo size itself. The entire rebuild is focused on 2 key areas hidden inside the housing: the compressor vane count and the impeller angle driving the airflow system. Start with the vanes inside the compressor. Picture the turbocharger like a high-speed fan trapped inside a sealed metal box. The vanes act like the blades of that fan, slicing through the air and creating pressure as the wheel spins harder and harder. That pressure is what compresses the airflow before it gets shoved into the engine. At lower RPM, using fewer vanes works perfectly fine because the airflow volume is smaller and much easier to control. But once the engine climbs into extreme RPM territory, everything changes fast. The compressor suddenly has to move massive amounts of air at insane speeds, sometimes close to the speed of sound inside the housing itself. That's where extra vanes become a huge advantage. More vanes spread the workload across a wider surface area, helping smooth out turbulence, reduce airflow losses, and generate stronger, usable boost exactly where Ferrari has been struggling most all season: flat out on the straights. If you want to understand why Ferrari made this engineering gamble in the first place, make sure you subscribe so you don't miss the Belgium breakdown when these upgrades actually land. Then comes the second part of the redesign, the impeller angle. This detail sounds small, but it changes the entire personality of the turbo. A steeper impeller angle favors lower RPM response, which is why Ferrari rockets off the line so quickly during race starts. A shallower angle shifts the turbo's sweet spot much higher into the rev range, where top-end speed becomes critical. Right now, Ferrari's turbo reaches peak performance too early, making it amazing for launches, but weak when drivers stay flat on the throttle down long straights. The rebuild is designed to move that power peak upward into the exact area where Mercedes has been crushing them every race weekend. And here's what makes this whole project insanely difficult. Ferrari cannot change the outer housing size at all. The turbocharger is packed tightly into the rear of the SF26, squeezed just millimeters away from the gearbox casing and battery box. If Ferrari changed the outer shape even slightly, it would trigger a complete rear-end redesign, including new crash structures, fresh cooling layouts, and even suspension balance changes that could throw the entire car setup into chaos. Gualtieri's engine crew is avoiding a complete redesign nightmare by changing only the internals of the turbo while keeping the exact same outer shell. From the outside, the unit looks identical. Inside, though, the geometry is being heavily reworked. That sounds simple on paper, but in reality, it makes the whole project way more difficult. Here's why. Packing more compressor vanes into the same fixed housing means every single vane has to become thinner. Thinner vanes save space, but they also become much weaker when exposed to brutal heat and extreme RPM over long race distances. If Ferrari gets the shape or airflow balance even slightly wrong, the turbo will not just lose performance. It could fail completely at the exact moment the drivers are pushing hardest down the straights. This is not some safe, conservative upgrade package. It's precision engineering right on the edge of reliability. And the turbo rebuild is only half the story. Ferrari's engine department has been developing a second project alongside it at the same time: a full combustion chamber rework. Both upgrades are being designed together and are expected to arrive together at Belgium. The reason both projects are connected comes down to pure physics. A stronger compressor forces denser air into the combustion chamber. Then the redesigned combustion chamber squeezes more energy out of that denser air before sending hotter exhaust gases back toward the turbine side of the turbocharger. That hotter exhaust spins the turbine even faster, which drives the compressor harder, which packs in even more dense air again. Everything feeds into itself like a chain reaction. That's why Ferrari believes fixing both systems together creates much bigger gains than upgrading only one side alone. A 10 horsepower turbo gain plus another 10 horsepower from combustion improvements does not necessarily equal just 20 horsepower total. Because both systems strengthen each other, the final gain could climb even higher. That stacking effect is exactly why Gualtieri's group wants both upgrades unleashed together instead of spreading them across separate race weekends. Ferrari's combustion chamber rebuild is targeting one thing above all else: reducing energy losses when the engine is screaming at high revs under heavy load. The entire redesign focuses on reshaping the chamber walls so the engine can squeeze more usable power out of every ignition cycle. And here's the key part: it's attacking the exact same RPM range as the turbo upgrade. Same weakness, different solution. Ferrari is basically launching a two-sided attack on the one area where Mercedes keeps destroying them. Full throttle speed down long straights at maximum engine output. Before Belgium, Ferrari is planning a critical test session at Mugello, designed specifically to check whether both upgrades actually work together in real conditions. This is way more complicated than testing each part separately on an engine bench. Ferrari needs to confirm that the entire performance loop behaves exactly like the simulations predict once the parts are installed inside a real SF26. The theory sounds simple on paper, but becomes brutal in practice. Denser air gets forced into the engine, the combustion chamber extracts more energy from it, hotter exhaust gases return to the turbine, and the turbo spins even harder in response. If that cycle works smoothly under racing conditions, Ferrari could finally claw back a huge chunk of the straight-line deficit that has haunted them all season. Now everything comes down to one massive date: May 24th, right after the Canadian Grand Prix. That's when the FIA releases its first official engine performance ruling for the 2026 season, and the decision could shape Ferrari's entire championship fight moving forward. If Ferrari lands inside the FIA's 4% performance deficit threshold, they receive 2 upgrade tokens. That would allow the turbo and combustion chamber package to debut together in Belgium. The expected gain could reach around 25 horsepower, potentially cutting Mercedes' advantage from roughly 20 to 30 horsepower down to somewhere near 10 to 15. Ferrari would still be chasing, but suddenly the fight becomes real again, especially on high downforce circuits where the SF26 already looks strong. If Ferrari lands inside the FIA's 2% to 4% deficit range, they only get 1 upgrade token instead of 2. That changes everything. Suddenly, Ferrari has to make a brutal choice: go with the turbo rebuild or the combustion chamber redesign, but not both together. And without the full package working as a combined system, the gains shrink massively. Instead of a possible 25 horsepower jump, Ferrari would probably only recover somewhere around 7 to 10 horsepower, good enough to stay clear in second place, but nowhere near enough to seriously attack Mercedes in either championship battle. Right in the middle of all this drama, Toto Wolff has stepped in with a very pointed argument. Ferrari chose the small turbo layout themselves. That wasn't an accident or a failed concept. It was a deliberate engineering gamble that sacrificed top-end speed in exchange for explosive launches and better low RPM response. So Wolff's question is simple: should Ferrari really receive extra catch-up support for a weakness created by their own design choice? On the surface, it sounds like a reasonable point, but there's another layer to this fight. If Ferrari gets those upgrade tokens and closes the power gap, Mercedes has no way to fight back during the season. Under the ADU0 engine regulations, the leading manufacturer is effectively frozen out of performance development. That means every horsepower Ferrari gains becomes a permanent threat Mercedes cannot answer until the rules cycle changes again. Wolff is not only defending the regulations here, he's protecting a championship advantage that only survives if Ferrari stays behind. The FIA's single-seater chief, Nicolas Tombazis, has already pushed back against that line of thinking. The teams agreed on a system built around simple measurements: engine output, performance deficits, and fixed thresholds. No political arguments, no debates over whether a manufacturer created its own problem or simply missed the target. If Ferrari's numbers qualify under the rules, then Ferrari qualifies. Simple as that. That makes the Canadian Grand Prix the final turning point before everything gets locked in. On May 24th, the FIA studies the data and officially decides how much upgrade freedom Ferrari receives for the rest of 2026. And depending on that ruling, the entire season could split into completely different realities. Best case scenario? Ferrari gets 2 tokens, brings the full turbo and combustion chamber package to Belgium, and cuts the Mercedes advantage down into the 10 to 15 horsepower range. Suddenly, the title race stays alive. Middle scenario? 1 token only. Ferrari chooses one upgrade path, gains maybe 7 to 10 horsepower, and settles into a safe second place, while the real championship push gets delayed until 2027. Worst case scenario? The full package arrives. The dyno numbers looked amazing back in Maranello, but the real-world pace never shows up on track. That would be a disaster for Ferrari, and Spa is probably the harshest place possible to discover the truth. The Kemmel Straight keeps the engines flat out for around 12 full seconds. That's the exact window where Ferrari's rebuild must finally deliver. If the speed trap numbers are still 3 to 5 kilometers per hour slower than Mercedes there, the upgrade simply has not worked. Then comes Monza, just 2 races later, the ultimate power circuit. By that point, there will be nowhere left to hide. Same turbo housing on the outside, completely different internals underneath. Canada ends on May 24th, the FIA reads the numbers, and Ferrari finally discovers how many shots they have left heading into Belgium. Don't forget to like and subscribe to never miss the latest F1 news.